The school janitor was caught sleeping in the basement, and everyone laughed, calling him lazy. But when the undercover owner found out the truth, the discovery left him shaken to his core. What the janitor was hiding would change the school forever. The bell rang at Oak Ridge Academy, echoing through wide halls filled with chatter, laughter, and sneakers squeaking against polished floors. Teachers hurried to their next classes, while students swapped jokes and rushed to beat the next bell. Beneath all that noise, hidden away where nobody cared to look, was a man named Earl Watkins. Earl wasn't a teacher, nor a principal. He was the janitor, the one with a mop bucket, faded uniform, and quiet steps. Students passed him every day, barely noticing. Some joked at his expense. "Hey, mop guy, missed a spot." Others snickered when they saw him carrying trash bags twice his size. But nobody knew Earl's truth. Nobody knew why he worked late into the night, why his shoes had holes, or why he sometimes disappeared into the basement during breaks. They only saw what was on the surface, a tired man with bent shoulders. That's why the day they caught him sleeping in the basement, heads shook and laughter spread like wildfire. "Lazy old man," one student muttered. "Figures. That's why the bathrooms are never clean," another sneered. What nobody realized was that Earl hadn't gone to the basement to hide from work. He lived there. His thin mattress was tucked behind old shelves. A dented metal locker held 2 shirts, a pair of jeans, and a photo of 2 smiling kids. His kids. On a rainy Tuesday morning, a new substitute teacher walked through the school doors. At least, that's what everyone thought. He wore a gray sweater, carried a coffee, and looked ordinary enough. He introduced himself as Mr. Daniels, filling in for a history class. But Mr. Daniels wasn't a teacher at all. His real name was Victor Harlan, the new silent partner who had recently bought into the school. Unlike other investors who only looked at numbers, Victor wanted to see the reality, what life inside Oak Ridge was truly like. So he went undercover. For weeks, he blended in, teaching lessons, eating cafeteria food, listening to students complain about homework. But what caught his attention wasn't the test scores or the sports trophies. It was Earl. Every morning, Victor noticed Earl already working before the sun rose, sweeping halls in silence. At night, when everyone left, Earl was still there, stacking chairs and fixing broken lockers. One evening, as Victor stayed late to finish grading papers, he saw Earl disappear into the basement with a tired slump. Curious, Victor followed quietly. That's when he saw it: the makeshift bed, the dented locker, the photo taped to the wall. Earl wasn't napping on the job. He was living at the school. Victor froze, coffee in hand, his chest tight. This wasn't laziness. This was survival. Next morning, Victor approached Earl casually by the lockers. "You were here late last night, weren't you?" he asked. Earl stiffened, gripping his mop handle tighter. "Just finishing up. Floors don't clean themselves." Victor studied him. "You live here, don't you?" Earl's eyes flashed with panic. For a moment, he looked ready to deny it, but then his shoulders sagged. "Please, don't tell the principal. I'll lose my job. And this job, it's all I got." Victor gently asked, "Why here? Why the basement?" Earl hesitated, then pulled a crumpled envelope from his pocket. Inside was a hospital bill. "My wife passed 3 years ago. Cancer. Since then, it's just me and my 2 kids. Rent went up, and I couldn't keep up. I send every penny I earn to their guardian, my sister, so she can raise them. I just need this job. I don't care where I sleep." His voice cracked at the last word. Earl wasn't ashamed of the hard work. He was ashamed of being seen as less than human. Victor felt his throat tighten. He had come undercover to evaluate the school's performance. Instead, he uncovered a man carrying a silent burden no one else even noticed. Later that week, the students found out. A careless teacher mentioned Earl sleeping in the basement, and soon whispers turned into cruel jokes. "Basement man," they shouted in the halls. "Smells like mop water down there." One afternoon, a group of seniors even snuck into the basement, filmed Earl's little mattress, and posted it online. The video went viral overnight, mocking him as the homeless janitor of Oak Ridge. When Earl walked into school the next morning, laughter followed him everywhere. His hands shook as he pushed his mop. His eyes stayed on the floor. Victor watched it all, fury simmering beneath his calm face. This wasn't just cruelty, it was ignorance, and it was time to put a stop to it. Friday morning assembly. The gymnasium was packed. Students filled the bleachers, buzzing with chatter. Earl stood by the back wall, trying to disappear into the shadows. Then Victor stepped onto the stage, microphone in hand. But this time, he didn't introduce himself as Mr. Daniels. "My name," he said, voice steady, "is Victor Harlan. Some of you know me as your substitute teacher. What you don't know is that I'm also one of the new owners of Oak Ridge Academy." The room went silent. Even the basketball bouncing in the corner stilled. Victor's eyes scanned the crowd. "For weeks, I've watched how this school treats people, and I've seen things that broke my heart. You all laughed at a man who cleans your halls, who makes sure your classrooms are safe, who sacrifices more than any of you realize." Whispers darted through the crowd. Earl shifted uncomfortably in the back, but Victor's gaze found him. "This man," Victor continued, "isn't lazy. He isn't a joke. He is the hardest working person in this building. And while you mocked him, he was sending every dollar he made to support his children. Children who deserve better than the cruelty I've seen displayed here." Gasps echoed. Students looked at each other, guilt spreading across their faces. Victor paused, then smiled. "From today forward, things will change. Earl Watkins will no longer sleep in the basement. The school will provide him with housing, and his children will receive full scholarships here at Oak Ridge." The crowd erupted, not with laughter, but with stunned silence that slowly turned into applause. Some students clapped softly at first, then louder, until the gym shook with the sound. Earl stood frozen, tears glistening in his tired eyes. For years, he had been invisible. For years, mocked. And now, for the first time, he was seen. Victor turned to him. "You are not the basement janitor. You are the foundation of this school, and we honor you today." In the weeks that followed, the video of Earl's story replaced the cruel one online. Students who once mocked him now greeted him with respect. Teachers invited him to share his story in class, reminding students of the importance of humility and kindness. But for Earl, the biggest change wasn't the applause. It was seeing his children walk through Oak Ridge's front doors, backpacks on, eyes wide with hope. He still mopped the floors. He still fixed the lockers. But he no longer did it in silence or shame. He did it knowing his story had power, and that his children would grow up in a world where their father wasn't just a janitor. He was a hero. Never underestimate the quiet ones you walk past every day. Sometimes the people you ignore are carrying the heaviest loads, and sometimes they are the very ones holding everything together. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more stories that reveal the strength of the unseen.